Somebody tried to read that thing? That complicated thing? Was it too complicated? Too much?
Oh, I didn't finish it though, I didn't read the whole thing. Need more time.
If you have some questions, maybe comments or something, observations, recommendations, please shoot now, especially recommendations. What would you like to, and how you would like to proceed? What is too much, what is too little? What do you expect it to happen? Actually, you can come closer, especially that this is a very good corner here, it's airy.
Yeah.
You can sit and
Maybe I just said maybe because of the angle of the reading, but maybe it's missing.
By the way, we are recording all the sessions and we will be recording even more. We will put everything by edited version on the website, so you can always refer to me, asking questions and so on. We did this last year and it was very useful then to transcribe those talks and those thoughts. So we have a lot of material already. So do you have something to say about what we did last time? No?
Oh, I had read this.
Right.
Some people read last week, but then I read.
Oh, introduction.
Yeah. I was just curious about the shift from the Vedic to the Vedantic, because I wasn't really clear on what you meant. I mean, what characterized that shift.
Well, we will come to that. We are just moving to that now. Today.
At the end of last session, you talked about this,
Birds.
the birds, and it was really interesting, and it felt like it would be nice to look a bit more into understanding what it's about.
Well, yes, it's a symbolic vision. This is the symbolism of the Veda, where things are never spoken in a rational manner. There's something there which is represented by the symbol of the bird or horse or moon or whatever symbol you take. And because that was an exoteric knowledge, it had to be hidden or packed in some manner. So, but you can always figure out what it means if you read more. Because those symbols you meet everywhere. And then when you collect them together, you see that, that's how they relate. First of all, this vision of the reality, which was different from rational, was exactly that particular feature, that all the manifestation of something, of all this, had many different names, or different adjectives rather. So, first of all, we have to understand how the language worked. It worked in a different way. There were these seed sounds, yes, which could produce any number of words in any direction. You can arrive to this meaning of the table from many different routes, because table does many things, and it can be qualified by many qualifiers. It can be said that it is a wooden thing. It can be said that it has 4 legs. It can be said that it has a flat surface. It can be said that this flat surface is supporting things put on the top, and so on and so forth. So all these are different truths, and from them you can come to this meaning of the table. Now that ability to produce meaningful word is a ability of a higher mind, that you will not miss. You will see in all this totality of movements clearly what it means. So it means you are not confused, you are not cut off into the the rational structure where you have to always ask what it means and why you call this by that, because you are open to the higher capacity to see. And also you follow the same subjective production of the world. Now, we don't have this capacity anymore. Yeah? We can only guess what was there. And that's why that language was so luminous and beautiful.
So was it mainly metaphorical, would you say, that a lot of the expression of life was
All these
an
metaphors.
observation? And an
The
observation of direct movements of nature?
Right. Well, nature itself is metaphorical. Yes. All what happens in nature, the sunrise, the sunlight, the dawn, the wind, the storm, are they not metaphors? They are metaphors. So they can be used immediately to express that particular state of consciousness which we experience subjectively. And it is the best cover, and it is the best hiding place for those symbols of consciousness. When I understood this, I was shocked, because to hide this knowledge was the best to pack it into the natural images. The sun is the manifestation of the supramental consciousness. When the sun rises fully, we have the manifestation of supramental consciousness. And all is going around it. There is a dawn, the dawn of our illumination. Yes? And there is the time of Savitar between the dawn and when the disk is visible, the time which is moving light towards its manifestation, from Utsu to promote, to impel, to push forward the evolution of light. All these were symbols.
So in one way you can say symbols to veil, but at the same time they reveal. So
Yes, they reveal and they hide the revelation, both at the same time. One second.
what I wanted to say, so if you shift in your consciousness, they are not veiling, they are revealing. So it's more shifting this paradigm more, this way how consciousness looks at things, in a way.
Well, the shift was not necessary anymore because we shifted in our paradigms already so far that we lost even the ability to see it. Yes? But
Just the question in a way is the word that was used when it was written was to say ghee, talking of the butter. Do we understand what we mean now when we use our mind now? A symbol in a way is something that's always means that. Maybe we should be able to access it now even. I mean, when you were describing, reading out that section, I was watching the bird dip down and go up and dip down. And we straight away, first of all, we see it going down and up. If you turn it that way, it's going in and out. It is respiration. The mixing of oil and water, which needs heat.
wonderful.
It's the body.
Now, but if you need such passages where, you know, the roses of Indra are dripping with ghee and, you know, with honey and clarified butter, they are dripping everywhere. And the heaven and earth, our father and mother, are full of ghee, ghrita, and full of honey. And they're feeding this baby sitting on their lap, this fire. Then you start to think that maybe it's not completely that ghee and not completely honey, physical. There must be something more than that. Now, language had access to this because the roots which are used for ghrita, yes, the root ghr, ghar from here in Hindi, hot, that's a hot, luminous substance, yellowish or golden, which represents that particular state, that particular movement within the consciousness. And it becomes clear how it relates through linguistic usage. We can discover those meanings. Now that ability we lost. We are already relating to everything in objective terms. We want to see what it signifies, what kind of thing it is. If it doesn't say consciousness to us, it means there is no consciousness, as if. But all these names are names of consciousness. They are nothing else.
This is what you mentioned. This is luminous. What is behind it? It's the oneness. No? That the oneness perceived, or from the oneness to perceive every other thing, the outer forms. I think.
Right.
And
It is that oneness. And exactly on that oneness it is based. Without that oneness, this variety is impossible. We cannot really deal with that. We would have to cut off into small pieces and define everything as form. Sharp form, different from any other form. But if we keep that oneness, then we can see all is meaningfully related.
but what you just said, it is like the golden energy came through this yellow or golden and sweet.
Yes, yes. And if you go even farther to that, you will see how it is used even in later tradition, which we are shifting today to this Vedantic tradition, if we will have time to shift, because I think Vedic consciousness deserves more attention than it looks like. Yes, it looks like that it is something, well, long, archaic, nobody knows what it is, but without understanding how we started, we cannot continue fully. We do not understand, we would not understand what happened after. What was that real shift? So that's why we dwell for kind of longer than necessary on this particular view. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, I'm wondering if we haven't preserved something of this form of thinking and direct approach in poetry. Because when I hear this, for me it's pure poetry, and I think everybody who is able to understand poetry knows that consciousness must not be mentioned. It's behind what is said. So I think it's not totally lost at some point.
It's never lost. And that's what it is. This is what even Gebser says. And that archaic level in us is most available to us. But we cannot use it because we shift it. Now, we are using have you noticed such an interesting thing? For example, in Soviet Union we have these communists who were preaching communistic ideas from Tribune and from the university stage. But when they went home, they were different. They went to church, they put candles there, okay, so nobody sees them. So, how come? Why they couldn't really believe fully and firmly to their own way of rational understanding and scientific, even if you take scientists, now they have to acknowledge that there are different belief systems, yeah? And they are kind of permitted, you can believe whatever you want. Yes? But in a way it is that they cannot reconcile within one frame, within one rational frame of thinking. You cannot see the world. Scientific view is not enough. There is a depth to it. And that depth comes up to here. Yes? From here it starts. Somewhere there was a beginning, this luminous beginning. It wasn't dark beginning. Now this is another problem, and very difficult to reconcile, even metaphysically. Why Sri Aurobindo was not widely accepted in India because of this particular issue. That was the light, full of light beginning, much higher than we think. General conception is that it started from our dark past and developed into what we now are. But it wasn't so, according to Sri Aurobindo. It was rather a fall. A fall from a high, luminous beginning towards this rationality, narrowing streams down to the particularities. Those floods of consciousness came down to very particular understandings.
We don't have it in this picture of paradise?
Yes, we have. The same four yugas starting from Satya Yuga and going down to Kali Yuga, to the dark of Iron Age, from golden to Iron Age, from free and spiritual air towards that disaster where the Dharma cow stands on one leg. First she was standing on 4, then on 3, then on 2, then on 1. Kali Yuga, he on one leg, balancing. And because of that, Sri Aurobindo was criticized by his contemporaries, especially Radha Krishnan in India did not accept Sri Aurobindo because of that. He said it's very clever to say that Vedic consciousness was so high and from there we start, but we know that we are progressing, we are not regressing. But they didn't see that it was a cycle. Yes, it was a cycle. We had to start from luminous beginning, come down, as Sri Aurobindo says, to the very narrow consciousness, and then again break through to even wider paths. And again, it's like, it's this motion